So I've just been listening in the background, and it's all very interesting. But I only have like one question, which is, what is Valhill Capital or anybody in this crew asking regular XRP holders to do? Right? I mean, the story is really interesting, but it's like a novel. People write millions of novels a year. I don't read them. They make lots of movies. I see 6. What are you asking me to do? It's a bit of persuasive speech. I just don't get what you're persuading.
So great question, Bob, and I appreciate that. And what we're asking you to do is, should Ripple lose this case, and if the government comes to try to take everybody's property, that we stand together and say, no, it is worth more than that. You're going to have to give me this if you want to take it. And we force the government to respond in a way that will either be unconstitutional or they would change their output in the law to basically enable XRP holders to continue to possess and own XRP.
Normally, I wouldn't have gotten involved in this discussion at all. But in the actual documentation, it does reference people sending their XRP into a human-managed escrow managed by somebody appointed by Valhill Capital and USA Corp. And I actually have the document, so I read through it. And to me, that's just hugely disconcerting in there. It's not clear by the documentation when that would be. Is that, months or years down the road, or is that give us your XRP now? It also says in exchange for you surrendering your XRP to our escrow manager, you will get an NFT, right? Which is, if I pay you XRP and I get an NFT, that's a sale. Right? That doesn't necessarily mean it's a refundable. I can have my XRP back. That's what concerned me by this whole process. So
that's something you can link to the chat, by the way.
I was sent a document by Jimmy himself prior to going to have lunch. So I'm not going to share that with everybody.
Just to be clear, this is the document that the valuation committee says doesn't yet exist. No, I'm not asking out of you, Bob. I'm asking out of the evaluation committee.
It's not an evaluation committee document that establishes a price. It's more of a procedural document, like you.
Right. I've repeatedly asked people that are involved in this, what is in this proposal, and I keep getting told that the proposal doesn't yet exist. Yet someone here is now saying they have a document that details this. So. Yet again, this is another red flag. What the hell is going on? If you're asking to trust people, with your assets, people on this call have repeatedly in this call said that this document doesn't exist, that it is that nothing yet exists. It's still working.
Still in session. We're still meeting, and no document, no final proposal has been produced.
So you're saying Bob has a draft?
Yeah. So personally, to me, I think everybody, I don't like being asked about this question because it's like personally embarrassing to me if people go, what do you think about this XRP worth $50,000 thing? Because I don't want to come out and call anybody a bunch of idiots, but I can't, I can't with a straight face go, oh, makes perfect sense to me. It's something I would ignore, like I ignore the variable guy stuff. Up to here, but people keep asking me about it, and so that's what I think. It's like, go on about your business just quietly, right? You can quietly do legal stuff behind the scenes. Nobody has to put their jobs at risk, and then you will just be just as prepared when the time comes. And in the meantime, you don't have to scare off anybody else, or you don't have to aggravate Matt or anybody else here, because.
Matt would be aggravated anyway with all the XRP FUD that's out there.
I want to clarify one thing that the previous person asking the questions had mentioned. No crypto, including XRP, is a store of value. Is everybody clear on that? Like, the value you get from XRP is the value you get when you sell it, and that value quite literally comes from the person you're selling XRP to at that moment in time, right? Otherwise, it's like a virtual storage room that you could put stuff in, except for the storage room doesn't exist, so you can't put anything in it. It literally comes from the person you're selling it to. So the value of XRP going up means more people are bringing external fiat value into the system than people are trying to leave with at any given moment. When it goes down, more people are trying to leave than people are trying to bring value in. That is just the absolute dynamics. So if you want XRP to go up, you need the ecosystem to be look like a place where sane people come to make good investments. That's why I fear a little bit over pumping with $50,000 XRP. You look like you're trying to attract crazy people in that are gullible than people trying to make sane investments. And so that's my only real criticism over an over pump in this space. But it's just every time people say, what about all the money in the world and equating this to this, it's really your value comes from the person you sold it to. It comes literally out of the fiat that they had in the pocket right before they bought XRP.
Basically, the SEC versus Ripple Labs case is not the United States government suing Ripple. It's China using their influence to pressure those who they basically own in the United States government to bring suit against Ripple so that it would slow us down and bring us to a halt on our development so that China and the BRICS and the digital yen could pull ahead. Because, like I said, we're in a currency war.
Okay, I mean, that's a little bit tinfoil hat for me, but let's assume that you're right there, okay? There's then the question of, well, if that's all happening, then how is some buyback going to take place? This is the bit that I still don't get. If the US government that's going to steal all your XRP, yet somehow it's going to pay you $50,000 for the privilege of it. It's kind of, my analogy is, it's like, you're expecting the burglar to do your wash your dishes before he walks out of your house with your TV. I mean, it's crazy.
So, Matt, we agree that $50,000 from the United States government for our XRP is never going to happen. So to use your analogy, what we're doing is that burglar goes in to steal your gold, and you've got some gold coins in a sack, that can be carried out by hand. That's pretty easy to steal. We're basically putting a bunch of gold bricks in a safe, and that's a whole lot harder to steal because it's heavy as hell. And that's what we're trying to do to the United States government and to the bad actors within it, is make it so that they can't afford to come in and take our stuff. We're making it too heavy for that burglar to walk away with it.
So, I mean, let's walk this through. Okay, so let's say Ripple lose the case. The SEC deemed that all XRP, including secondary sales, et cetera, are securities, right? If we go by what happened with, say, Veritasium, then, the conclusion is that Ripple needs to make investors whole. If it's deemed as a security of Ripple, then it's Ripple's responsibility, not the government's, to make the investors whole, because it is the Ripple that is supposedly the bad guy in that situation, right? They would have to make investors whole. So what's going to happen? Ripple are going to buy back everybody's XRP. Well, what funds are they going to be using to buy that back, right? The majority of Ripple's balance sheet is in XRP. So what are they going to do? They're going to sell their XRP to raise US dollars to buy your XRP back. That just doesn't work. It's a circular argument, right? It's like perpetual motion. It's just not going to work, right? How are Ripple going to get some massive inflated price that you guys are you're saying? Okay, let's say we don't even say it's 50,000. Let's say it's a lot smaller, but you're saying that, okay, this is what the fair market value should be. Well, how are Ripple going to even afford to do that? Because the only way they could actually raise that money would be to sell the XRP, which would devalue the XRP in the first place, to devalue the thing that you hold.
Well, so that's all assuming that there would be a Ripple making investors whole scenario, which it is a potential scenario, but not.
What else would happen? What would be the other scenarios that could happen in the case of SEC deem it a security? I mean, why else would there be some kind of buyback or make people whole if the SEC lose? Because you've moved now from this thing's a buyback proposal to this is a make people whole if the SEC win the case proposal. So we've moved away from the ludicrous 50 million
this isn't about
XRP because somebody can't do maths thing to we're just going to make this we're going to make this a make people whole thing, right?
So hold on. So Matt, you're drawing conclusions again based off things that
I'm asking you what the scenario is. What would happen?
So it's not about making people whole, and it's not about the value of the token.
So what is it? You keep moving. You earlier you said that it's about making investors whole again, right? Or compensating investors if
you gotta listen. It's about preventing the government from taking our property in a manner that is against the American people. That's what.
But that's a totally different thing to the SEC case. You keep jumping between the two.
Really not.
It is.
It's really not. No.
If the SEC, so first of all, you're saying it's not about making investors whole if XRP is deemed a security, and now you're saying it's about the government taking it. Which is it? Because you keep jumping between these two things as your arguments fail.
What's the purpose of the case? What's the purpose of the case to begin with? You said Bitcoin's not a security, Ethereum's not a security, they said Ripple wasn't a security for years before that, they'd met with the SEC, so on and so forth, and all of a sudden, bam, here's this case. And they're saying that secondary sales are also a security. Now, I realize that some people are afraid of being called tinfoil hat conspiracists and blah, 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 but some people have to think about the actual implications of the actions being taken. So the action taken was that the same guy who is on the Alipay board and backed by China and this and that went and launched this case, and then came Gary Gensler, who was Clinton's CFO and who was the MIT professor with the parents of Alameda's little hussy, and we've got the connections to Epstein Island, and we've got the connections through the back door to China. These people are not doing this case because of securities or because of protecting investors. They're doing this case because they're anti-American and they're trying to shut things down.